Greatest wide receiver ever, a 13-time Pro Bowler. He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer and widely regarded as the GOAT, the greatest football player ever. New book, America's Game, the NFL at 100. Jerry Rice joining us this morning on the show. Jerry, good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? It's always great to catch up with you, my man. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is a great time of year because the NFL races start heating up. The games start meaning more. And this year, somebody who loved the history of the game, it's just been everywhere. The NFL history of 100. How has it been for you? I know that you love the history of the game as well. What's it been like to watch kind of the ceremonies and the remembrances of the 100 years of the NFL this season?
You know what? It brings back so many memories, and just think about all the players before us, and how they really made the game what it is today. And I'm just like a little kid, man. It's like the greatest game ever, and just to see everything evolve the way it has, it's just something I'll never forget.
There's a few players that we all have that we are very passionate about, that we loved, we adored when we were kids. Did you have a player that either you wore the jersey of, had a poster of, or watched on TV and said, that's my hero, that's my guy?
I had so many players, like a Lance Warren, John Stallworth. Even then I got a chance to play with Dwight Clark and also Freddie Solomon. My team back in the day was the Dallas Cowboys, and I remember Roger Staubach. And, I thought I was going to really become a Dallas Cowboy, but San Francisco had something to say about that. They jumped down to that 16th spot, and they picked me. And then I thought about Joe Montana and Bill Walsh and Eddie DeBartolo, the greatest owner ever. And so, everything been like a dream come true for me.
Jerry Rice joins us this morning on the show, a new book, America's Game, the NFL at 100. Was Joe as calm and collected in big spots as his reputation suggests, or is that a little blown out of proportion?
I can't disclose that. No, I'm joking. But, of course, yeah, they used to call Joe Cool. And nothing rattled this guy. He had complete composure in the huddle, and I think we fed off that. We knew if we had any time on the clock that we could move the ball downfield and win the football game. That's just like Super Bowl 23 on that final drive when Joe came into the huddle and he started pulling grass and he started, calling out 2 plays. Then you break the huddle and everything goes completely quiet. And we just started executing, moved the ball all the way downfield, and we won that Super Bowl.
The amazing thing is Joe Montana was not physically imposing. I mean, he had those little chicken legs. No. And,
oh, yes.
when he didn't have pads on, he just looked like a normal guy. And yet on Sundays, he was a totally different guy. What did you think when you first saw him up close without his pads on?
Well, I have always thought of Joe as being, a god. And when I got drafted, I said, that I'm really going to go meet God. But when I saw him, and my locker was right down from his locker, I'm looking him up and down and stuff like that. He had those little skinny legs. But Joe, he was a mobile quarterback also. He could run, but Joe was all about the West Coast offense and the timing. He didn't hold on to the football, and the ball was, always in the air. And I think when you look at Tom Brady, he went back, he watched a lot of film on Joe Montana because you see some of the same things, with Tom Brady.
Jerry Rice joins us this morning on the show. We had Ronnie Lott on the show last week, and I asked Ronnie how he felt about leaving in 91, 2 years with the Raiders, 2 years with the Jets. Do you ever think if maybe he should have stayed? And he said, I think about that a lot, and I think about whether I should have taken less to stick around and try to win championships, because after he left, you guys were still in NFC championship games. You went to the Super Bowl and won it in 1994. What was it like to lose Ronnie Lott after the 1990 season?
Yeah, man, it was tough. It was tough to lose Ronnie. It was tough to lose Joe. And I'm like, oh, wow, if they get rid of those 2 guys, I'm sure it's going to, come to a point where they're going to try to do the same thing for me. And I was fortunate because I went on to the Oakland Raiders. We went to the Super Bowl, but we lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I had some good years with the Raiders. Then I went on to Seattle for a little bit. But I don't regret, leaving and moving on because I still wanted to play football. You know, the big talk now is about Tom Brady. Is this going to be his last year with the Patriots? And if Tom still wants to play, if he's going to go somewhere else or if he's just going to call it quits. So you have to make a decision, and you have to live with your decision. And I was able to go on and have some great years.
With Tom Brady, Joe Montana, they're oftentimes considered the best quarterbacks in NFL history, either 1, 2, 2, 1, however you want to rank them. I think about Dan Marino a lot, though, and how circumstances, that can often define your career. And Dan oftentimes didn't have a great defense, didn't have a great running game. When you think about the greatest quarterbacks ever, do you consider Dan Marino one of them?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Man, I would have loved to have caught a ball from Dan Marino. I mean, that tight spiral, and, he had great vision on the football field. Duper, Clayton, all those guys, they had fun. And, I think Dan Marino is right up there. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that he didn't win a Super Bowl. I'm one of those guys. I feel it's one of those things. You have to win a Super Bowl to be defined as being one of the best. Now, that's just the way I think. But, a lot of players that really didn't get that opportunity, they might not feel that way. But I just felt that you had to win one.
You've been asked a lot whether you're the GOAT or Tom Brady's the GOAT, and you've had a really humble answer by saying, there could be multiple GOATs.
Yes.
And you never are one that wants to draw attention to how great you were or your own personal stats. Is it awkward for you at all to be kind of asked, do you think you were the greatest, and have to kind of, I'm sure you want to give respect to everybody, including Tom Brady, when you're asked that.
I never thought of myself as being one of the greatest. And I still, till today, I just played a game that I really love doing. And I like entertaining people. And I like everything that came along with that. Those training camps, going there, having those tour days, putting those pads on, all of that stuff. And that's getting me, ready for the season and stuff like that. So, like I said, there's a lot of GOATs in all different professions, but there's a lot of GOATs that are not in athletics too. You got doctors, lawyers, teachers, and all of that. So in different professions, and but there's nothing wrong with trying to be the greatest of all time in whatever you're doing.
Super Bowl 24, 55-10 over the Denver Broncos. That's as close as I've ever seen to a perfect football game played. Was that as close as a perfect football game you ever played in?
I'm going to tell you, before that game, that Friday, we had no mental mistakes. We were so sharp, and we were ready to play. And I think on that first drive, I was not even the primary when I scored that touchdown, but Joe went through looking at his number one, his number two, then he came back to me, and I uncovered. He threw me the ball, and I was able to get into the end zone. But the execution was right on point. We knew that we wanted to, jump on the Denver Broncos, and we were able to do that and win that Super Bowl.
Odell Beckham gave Tom Brady goat-haired goat cleats last week. Would you like a pair?
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. But the Cleveland Browns, man, they got a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you this because I heard about what the officials told them during halftime that they had to change their shoes or they wouldn't be allowed back on the football field. So distractions like that was something I always tried to stay away from. And some like there are certain uniform codes that you have to live by.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that to be a little of a distraction for them.
Jerry Rice has this new book called America's Game, the NFL at 100. You must have had a lot of fun putting together this book. I know how much you appreciate NFL history.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I was just like a little kid, and I got so excited about the history, thinking about Lombardi, what type of coach was he and stuff like that, because I got coached by Bill Walsh, Johnny Unitas, all of that. the Great Depression. When you think about that, and also World War II, the football, it's like football almost didn't come about. And it's just the histories, the stories, and stuff like that. Blacks, being, trying to get into the NFL, and it's just got great storylines. And when you pick this book up, you're not going to want to put it down.
Jerry Rice, check it out. America's Game, the NFL at 100, available all places books are sold, including Amazon right now. Check it out. Jerry, it is always an honor to have you here on the show, my man. Thank you so much for doing it today. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me, okay? Have
you got
a good
it.
one.